It is 6:30. We have a fairly full agenda, so I will get us started. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Great Barrington Selectboard and Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by following the instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we'll post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Pursuant to Mass General Law 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items of those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we know this meeting is being recorded by CTSB, by the town, by the Berkshire Edge, and there may be other members of the public recording. So let me give you a brief overview. And
Steve, do we want to do a roll call attendance?
We will do that in a moment, yes. We will go over tab 6, department by department. Those are all the departments. First, we'll vote on each one per board. The Finance Committee's vote is what goes to the public hearing. Then we will vote on the capital and the special articles. Both the special articles can have opposite recommendations. The planning board may recommend and the select board may not. And those will still go to the town warrant as long as one of the two boards does recommend. Let's do the roll call, and then we will get into, I'm gonna ask Chris to say a few words tonight. So we have some good news, which we don't always have at these meetings. So let's start with a roll call. I'll do the select board. Lee Davis.
Here.
Bill Cook.
Here.
Ed Abrams.
Here.
And I'm here, and Kate will be here momentarily. Ann?
Yep, so for the Finance Committee, I'm here. Tom Blovelt.
Here.
Michelle Loubert.
Here.
Meredith O'Connor.
Here.
And Will Carletti has let me know that he is also on his way. He should be here shortly.
Okay. So, Chris, would you like to start us off with good news?
Thanks, Steve. The good news is, some of you may have seen the press release already. It's been a busy day, busy week for the state and for the town in terms of grant receipts. So we received $137,000 and change towards completion of the old Route 7 Greenway path. So that was a town meeting vote last June. And this is closing that budget gap. So we'll be able to do that paved off-road path from the Jennifer House Commons area up to CHP. That completes that whole trail loop system. It links the CHP with Berkshire South via sidewalks and trails. So that was really fantastic. On the heels of that, we received through the state website notice that a regional application for community development block grant housing rehabilitation funds was funded. So we're partnering with Egremont on that. And that's north of $1 million towards housing rehab for low and moderate income families. So we're super excited about that. And then I was honored to participate today with the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development and the Undersecretary for DHCD in an announcement of tax credit funding towards the CDC's 910 Main Street project That's 49 units of affordable housing. I don't have the details of the tax credit funding, but essentially it'll raise $10 to $12 million of funding for that $16 million development. So that's pretty incredible news. Thank you, Steve, for that opportunity. And it seems like a good time to remind you all that, town staff, department heads in town hall, the senior center, the police department, fire, library, we all work incredibly hard to bring in state and federal grant funds whenever we can to supplement our projects and to implement the priorities that you all set out. So we're really proud to be able to do that. And, thanks to everybody, all of our colleagues here. Finance department really helps us do these things smoothly. It's a big team effort. So thanks very much to everybody and congratulations all around.
Yeah, congratulations to you, Chris. and to the whole
Fantastic.
staff.
Wonderful. Congratulations, everyone.
Yeah, really good work.
Very good
What are you
job.
going to do next week to top this, Chris?
Go on holiday.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Okay, with that good news starting us, we'll turn to tab 6. And we're going to go right in order. We're not going to go by how we did it on the agenda, which was fine, but we'll just start with page 1. And it's a select board town manager. And we've asked questions. You're free to ask more questions. When we're done, each board will take a vote on it. And as I said, the select board's vote is more of a beauty contest, and we all look good. And the finance committee is what's recommended, was what appears on the public hearing, which is at the end of March.
Hey, Steve, before we jump in, just, I forget, the Finance Committee, we haven't had a public hearing yet. So is our vote just more of a, I don't even know the right word.
So that's a good question, Tom. What happens is the numbers you recommend tonight go to the public hearing. After
Okay,
the public hearing, both the Finance Committee and Select Board will vote on the entire budget.
okay.
We won't, as you point out, to do that before the public hearing would make no sense because you want to hear what the public has to say about it. But
Okay.
so
Thank you.
we have the administration's budget. It'll get tweaked tonight or may not, but it probably will in some aspect. Your recommendations goes to the public hearing. Then after the public hearing, each board will make an overall recommendation on the entire budget. That
Okay,
makes
thank
sense?
you. Yep, thanks.
Okay. So select board town manager.
What does the motion look like? I'll start with that, but do you want to?
It can be as simple as a motion to approve the town, it's assumed it's what the town manager recommended.
Right, the motion to approve the town manager's recommended budget.
Second. Any discussion from the select board? A little different tonight is that every one of these votes is roll call. So that's always interesting. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. And I will remember all your names, hopefully, even on the board by the end of the meeting.
Steve,
Yes.
this is Ann. This is something, and you and I talked about this before. I just wanted, would it make more sense for the finance committee to vote first since we are ultimately making the recommendation to select board, or do you feel the select board voting first makes the most sense in terms of making a recommendation to the finance committee?
I think we're making a recommendation to you.
In this instance, okay.
Yeah, because our vote has less weight at this point.
Okay, got it. All right, that's fine. So for the finance committee, do I have a motion?
And this is Tom. I make a motion, the Finance Committee recommend the town manager's budget.
And do I have a second?
Second, Michelle.
Any discussion? Okay, so roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. And Will, have you had the chance to join yet?
Doesn't look like it.
All right, and I'm not getting any. All right. Okay,
Page 2 is the Finance Committee. Do I have a motion, Ed?
Motion to approve.
I actually have a suggestion.
Okay, let me get a second and then we'll do that.
Okay.
Second. Second by Bill, motion by Ed. Kate, go right ahead.
I guess this is in regard to the contingency that's in the Finance Committee. And it relates to two different budgets that we'll vote on later. And that would be the raise for the firefighters and the administrative assistant at the police station.
Yes.
I do feel strongly that they are deserving raises. However, I do feel like we've talked a lot about holding off on making raises until we do a payroll audit. Maybe that's not the right word, but to look through all of it. I'm wondering if it makes sense to do half of the requested and put the other half in the contingency for once we've finished looking at pay scale throughout the town employees.
Sue, let me ask for your expertise. If we vote on this contingency, we can still change other payrolls within the budget, other salaries, without, because I think it's going to get too confusing if we try to do it by math. So we can, Kate, we can still do what you suggest, and it won't affect the contingency line.
Well, I think,
Claire, can I ask for, oh, Sue, go ahead.
Sue, go
I
ahead.
think what I understood Kate to be saying is she wanted to transfer some of the money that was in those two budgets into the contingency line and set it there. Is that correct, Kate?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in some way it doesn't make a difference, except for maybe emotionally it does. I don't know. So the raise for the firefighters is $23,000. So I'm saying that we give them a raise of 11,500, which would go into the recommended 22 budget. And then at 11,500 would be added to the contingency. And then once we do that pay, please, somebody tell me the right words, but
Salary
the whole, the
salary study.
whole salary study, then we could give them more that's in the contingency based off of what we see relative for fire departments, you know, and the same for the administrative assistant. That raise is 57 something. It comes out to 2,865. I think that my concern is just that we're going to, you know, we've kind of throughout our discussions talked about how we don't want to make any changes until we've done this salary study. And then these are two really big changes outside of the salary study. And so I'm just wondering if that is a better way to, please discuss.
Ann, go ahead.
Can we discuss when you guys are voting? But I just want to support Kate in this. I find this really odd that we're talking about doing a salary study. And again, I know, Mark, you had originally sort of suggested that we look at salaries at the sort of administrative level, but it seems to me, given the request, we need to look at salaries across the board. And I guess, you know, I tried to do a bit of research, and again, just very rudimentary research, and it does seem, I'm struggling to understand why some of our salaries are where they're at compared to other towns in different departments. So it seems to me that it seems odd to discuss raises before doing the study, instead to do a study that then sort of talks about what we feel are the right salaries for the given positions. It just seems to me like we're making decisions the reverse direction that we should be making them. So I find this sort of odd. And I understand we're putting it into contingency, and so I guess we don't have to spend it, but ultimately, you know, we have to raise the taxes to cover that expense.
Sue, is there any money in contingency anticipating the salary study? In other words, more in contingency than you normally would have because you're assuming that there may be some changes because of when this study happens.
Well, last year was the first year we had a contingency.
Correct.
I've never seen before.
Right,
Well, in years past, I believe what Jennifer did was put when we were allocating money for contractual obligations or for the cost of living increase, I believe she put that in a line item in the select board town manager budget. So
Yeah.
I created what was called contingency and just threw it here in finance committee last year.
so just tell me how you made up that, that number came to be.
I'm actually going to turn that over to Mark because that actually is his number.
Okay,
Sure. I think originally that number was in the ballpark of $75,000. We scaled it back during the first round of budget cuts. But again, just to circle back to what Ann said earlier, the original intention was to conduct a salary survey of our department heads and that level, that support staff just before department heads, just under department heads, meaning superintendents for wastewater, highway, police sergeants. I hadn't anticipated doing the entire town in the first year, which is why you're seeing some salary adjustments and some administrative positions.
But then it turns out there's requests for salary adjustments in non-administrative positions as well.
Right, but you're seeing I guess what I'm saying is you're seeing some increases in administrative positions built into the operating budget. Those were not positions I anticipated being part of the salary survey and making adjustments to after July 1st. Does that make sense?
yes, to me. So the question is, Mark, the 60,000, usually when you have a contingency, it's for contracts that haven't been settled yet and you're in negotiation.
Which was the case last year.
Right, so the 60,000 this year is money that you anticipate. Was it money that you anticipate for the raises that may happen after the salary study?
It was in anticipation of making salary adjustments mid-year for department head staff and that staff level just below, not townwide.
So my question is, and to make this clean and neat, if we kept the 60,000, because that's the money that we would anticipate we might need after the salary study, and then went into each department and made changes as we felt necessary, that would make as much sense as trying to come up with a number to add to contingency. Because Mark's already done what Kate's recommending. That money's in there, anticipating that there may be some raises that need to be given after the salary study.
I think the difference is that Mark wasn't planning on doing salary studies of assistants and the fire department.
And we're not yet anticipating doing that. I think we're going to do that on our own if we decide to do it as we get to those departments.
I guess I would defer to Mark potentially about whether or not he feels like the contingency would need to be larger if we are including more people. And I guess it makes me rethink my thinking because I was thinking about, looking at the town clerk, the assistant town clerks, or the building department's administrative assistant, that salary. And I know that the police administrative assistant is a more full-time position than some of those other ones. But I mean, if we're not looking at all of those they're very different pay scales for each one of those positions. So if that's not part of the salary study, I would like that to be part of the salary study.
Well, then we have to give a lot more money for the salary study.
Correct.
Or we do it internally. Sorry, Anne, I can see you want to say something.
No, I guess, so Mark, we had talked earlier, the salary study for the department heads wasn't going to cost much, but the feeling is that if we broadened that out, this would be much more expensive. I mean, I guess I would think it's worth the investment to figure out what's going on with salaries if there is this sense that there's these positions or lines that are underpaid, and I don't know what we're going to do if we find out that some lines are overpaid. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't think that's going to be a big issue, but it could be. But again, it just seems odd to only do a salary study of a small segment of the staff if the reason we're doing it is because we feel that a certain segment of the staff salaries are off compared to other members of the staff salaries.
I think it's been more noticeable with our department head staff, the staff that we have a difficult time recruiting because of specialty skill sets. That was my thinking in asking for this additional funding this year. Some of the positions that we're discussing are entry-level positions, and while they're very important positions to the town, I'm more concerned this year with being able to attract and retain the skill sets that we need on a department head level.
Chair, may I say something? It's Michelle.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I agree with our town manager. Just having been in the public sector for a long time and, looking at positions at the department head level, he's right when it comes to the specialty skill set that is necessary. It is competitive. And I do agree with him. It's not that an admin's position is not as important. I'm an admin myself. But I see that as more internal. And I think we have to sometimes take the emotion out of it, where we say, oh, they're doing a great job, let's give them more money. Now, I'm not talking about department heads. I think we really have to look at the position. And a lot comes into play. Many of our employees, because of union contracts, are already getting increases where we live in a town when others are collecting unemployment. And this is really just disturbing to me. So in my opinion, the town manager and town staff have to balance recruiting while maintaining a stable budget without killing the wallets of our taxpayers. So I tend to, I'm supporting what the town manager is doing at this time. And I don't recommend doing anything differently.
So my concern is this, and I don't disagree with Michelle. I don't think this group, but I'll speak for myself. I do not have enough knowledge to go employee by employee and say they deserve more money or they don't deserve more money. I don't see what they do every day. I have never seen their job description. I think what we're doing here, if we're going to do that, I would ask for the town manager to come back with a recommendation. His recommendation is already here. It's called the budget. It's the town manager's recommended. So if he felt that there were people that were grossly underpaid or even just slightly underpaid, he would have made those adjustments. I know it's a tough time to live, but we have to live within our means. And there are a lot of wonderful people who work for this town. And yeah, I'd love to see them all get more money, but the jobs, you really have to look job by job. I was taught a long time ago, it's not about names, it's not about this person, it's about their position. And I'm assuming that the town manager's taken a hard look at this and balance what we can afford and what the job is, and that's the salaries he's recommended. And he has made some adjustments in those. So I know I won't support any line by line raises without a study and a further recommendation by the town manager.
I agree with the chair. Steve, I agree with everything you just said. And like I said, I think we're putting the cart before the horses. Salary administration study hasn't even been done yet. So as far as process goes, I like the process that the town manager has set forth. And I think he's given it a lot of thought and consideration. So I think we have to trust that.
And having done budgets for a long time, and I'd hate to put the town manager in this position, and I won't. But if, let's say we were going to give $50,000 worth of raises, it's a lot of money, hypothetical number. I might ask the town manager, is that the best way to spend the money? There may be other areas that he's cut, because he's made some substantial cuts to get to a lower budget. And he may feel that there are other areas, maybe in technology, that we should be spending more money and not salary. And it's not personal to the people who have the positions, but it's what the town needs. So there's a lot of things that worry me about doing it the way we're about to do it. So hearing no other discussion, Ed, if you want to withdraw your motion, you may. If you're okay with the motion, we'll vote on it.
Yeah, I don't say this often, but I agree with Michelle. So I'll leave the motion.
Thank you, Ed.
Like painful.
Write down the date, Michelle.
I am. I'm noting it in my journal right now.
I have a motion and I have a second, so it's a roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion? We have not made a motion yet.
No, you have not.
This is Tom. I'll make a motion that we approve the town manager recommended budget.
I second the motion, Michelle.
Any further discussion? Can I just, and I'm so sorry, I know I keep harping on this, but so if we improve this contingency, does the town manager come to us and explain why the raises are at some point and why they're being made, or will they just happen?
I'd be happy to do that.
All right, thanks, Mark. So, all right, any further discussion? Will has joined us. Will?
Aye.
Will, you're signed in, Ann O'Dwyer.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. I have no idea. Okay, so Will has voted aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. All right. All right. Finance, oh, sorry.
Hold on, I'm just changing Will's name because I think there's identity theft going on. So.
I think so. Will, are you trying to get into the chair position here?
No, I'm not at all. What am I signed in as? I don't know.
I don't know, I just got you as Will with 2 L's, so.
Okay.
It's fine.
I didn't have time to change it, to do your last name. Okay, finance director and accountant. An accountant, yes.
Motion to approve.
Second. Do I have any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Bill. Aye. And I. Unanimous.
So I have a motion from the Finance Committee to approve the Finance Director Accountant budget.
So I make a motion, we approve the town manager recommended budget.
Second by Michelle.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. I'll change the order. I vote aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Okay, moving to page 4, which is technology. And I am assuming that under the line 53400, Amy had requested that be reduced to 20,000. So whenever that motion comes up, I would assume that we're making it with that number in there.
Motion to
Steve,
approve.
does that carry over to town manager column? The 20,000 or?
Well, let's go to the horse's mouth. Mark, are you okay with that recommendation that Amy made?
Yes.
That was the right answer, Mark. Good job.
Can I just clarify? So that brings the final budget to 235,235. What's the final amount then?
Mm-hmm.
20, yeah, 235.
235? She said to bring it down to 20,000 from 32,500.
Yes.
No, to
Oh, I thought we were reducing it 20 was my understanding.
yeah.
I thought we were reducing it to 20. Amy's on the line. Let's not take commitment. Amy, are we reducing it by 20 or are we reducing it to 20?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Hi. Unfortunately, I don't have my paperwork in front of me. I believe we were reducing it to a total amount of 20.
that's how I
My
understood.
notes, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee to approve the technology budget as recommended? As amended, I'm sorry, and recommended.
Okay, this is Tom again. I make a motion, we approve the town manager recommended budget as amended.
Michelle, second.
Roll call vote. Tom,
Aye?
Michelle?
Did you say Michelle? I can barely hear you.
I
I'm
did.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, Meredith,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Okay. Moving ahead to the assessor, page 5.
Motion to approve?
Wait, sorry. Can we go back? I think there's a mathematical error in the technology. The requested budget from Amy is 254,000. The manager only took 10,000 away from her oh no, sorry, just kidding. I apologize.
Okay.
Proceed.
No problem.
Second.
I have a motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any discussion? Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
I make a motion, we approve the town manager's recommended budget.
Second.
All right, roll call, any further discussion? So sorry. All right, roll call vote. Tom,
Aye?
Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Okay, moving ahead, page 6, collector treasurer.
Motion to approve?
Hold on. Karen Fink, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Hello, just wanted to let you know I'm offering to sacrifice $200 out of my budget. No, I made a mistake on the longevity because it's in the anniversary date is 7/2/22, which is actually in FY23. So that's just $200 too much in my budget for the longevity.
I'll take it. I'm withdrawing my motion. Motion to approve is amended.
I'll second. Approve amended.
So the motion is to approve as amended, which is reducing it by $200, which is better than nothing. Thank you, Karen. Any discussion? Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion for the Finance Committee to recommend the collector treasurer budget?
So
I
moved.
make a motion, we recommend the town manager budget as amended.
And Will, do you second that?
Yeah, I second that.
Great. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. I'll start. I vote aye. Will,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
Next is the town clerk, page 7.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Michelle, second.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Michelle,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Will.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Page 8, conservation.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any discussion? Vote Lee,
Aye.
Kate, Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee on the conservation budget?
Okay, this is Tom. I'll make a motion. We
Thank
approve
you.
as submitted.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. All right.
Page 9, planning board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Vote Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
Motion
I
to
make a motion.
recommend?
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend.
Do I have
I'll
a second?
second.
All right, any further discussion? On roll call vote, I'll vote aye. This is Ann. Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next one is page 10, the zoning board of appeals.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Unanimous.
Do I have a Finance Committee motion on the Zoning Board of Appeals budget?
Motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Tom has made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? And then a roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and Meredith.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 11, planning, community development.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
I have a motion from the Finance Committee to approve the planning and community development budget.
Motion to approve.
Go ahead, Will.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? So roll call vote. I'll vote aye. Tom,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and Michelle.
Aye.
6.
Page 12, buildings and grounds.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee on to approve the building and grounds budget? Or to
Motion to
accept?
approve.
Do I have a second?
Oh.
Second.
All right, thanks, Will. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Meredith,
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, page 13, police department.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing no discussion. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee to approve the police department budget?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I guess I would like to discuss some clarification. I just want to be clear what I'm voting for here. So we have an increase of the salary for the police chief that is still under negotiation. So this is not necessarily what the final amount will be, but this is sort of takes into account the possible range, correct?
Could have also been put in contingency, by the way, and made it a lot less confusing.
Well, so at this point, this is sort of right. It sort of is a contingency amount.
Right.
And then we are also approving the new $10,000 toward the new community outreach officer program, supporting the person who's going to be doing the officer is going to be doing that. We are increasing overtime by a teeny amount, so not by a whole lot. Increasing holiday pay. We are now doing some reimbursements for education, some more for office equipment, and for vehicular supplies, correct? Those are...
An administrative assistant.
And in the administrative assistant.
Correct. And the chief is on the line if you have any questions about any of those lines.
All right.
If you have any questions on the police chief's salary, I can handle those.
Well, Mark, that's still a negotiation, right?
Exactly. That's all it is. It's just a placeholder. We did advertise the position up to $105,000. So.
Okay. Well, and I do appreciate Chief Storty at a previous meeting talking about why the move and Sue Carmel also talking about pulling out the sergeant's salaries into a separate line, and that it looked like a greater increase, but actually was just the general 4% or 2% and 2%. So anybody else have any further questions or discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. I'll vote aye. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And Meredith?
Aye.
Page 14, the fire department. Kate, do you want to discuss this?
Do I want to discuss it?
Well, you had brought up the firefighter salary.
I'm going to bring up everybody's salary. I mean, I think that it's important that we're reviewing them. They're going from making $24 an hour to almost 28, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. I just saw somewhere that 29.5 is actually what you need to make in order to make 1/3 of that to be your housing in terms of paying rent in Berkshire County. I'm not against the increase. I guess I was under the impression that we were looking at what kind of everybody's making all around and making sure it's comparable for retention and rehire. So I think if we're not doing that for I'm fine.
Can I say something, Chair?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Select Board. I should wait to the final.
No, go ahead, Michelle. There's no motion.
I'm just a little frustrated because we're talking about $29 to afford to pay rent around here. And I got to tell you, that looks really good to the cashier at Price Chopper. We adjusted Select Board stipend in order to offset health insurance costs. We have citizens who are on Mass Health or on COBRA or no health insurance at all. I just really want to have this board, both boards and the citizens of Great Bear, to be mindful. And we're talking about we need affordable housing, and that sort of thing. But yet we got to raise salaries, Somebody has to pay for that. That's the taxpayer. And I think we need to be mindful of the economic times we are in. Great Barrington is doing is stable, but it wouldn't take too much to tip the scale. So I'm just saying it right now. I don't mind the salary administration survey. That is a responsible thing to do in any business. But just to blindly say, these are people who are getting contractual raises for their on a routine basis. There's very few industries where you will get a longevity bonus. That's what longevity is. I've been in the public sector. You work there X amount of time, you get a little bonus on top of it. And we have people who are out of work, walking the streets of Great Barrington. So I'm getting a little frustrated hearing, let's just increase salaries. Let's take it a step at a time. I think the town manager's plan with the salary administration plan, taking it in tiers, our staff, they are getting raises when other people are getting salary slashes. So again, I'm in the public sector. I look at what's out there. And I'm just, again, I'm getting frustrated hearing this. And I just had to say something. Thank you.
Michelle, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying that we need to blindly give them raises. I'm saying that I do know what a working affordable wage is, and it would be great to pay everybody that, but we're also looking at what the tax rate is, and I'm just wondering if we want to hold off. That's the question that I'm asking everybody. And it seems like you're saying two different things at the same time, so I'd like to know what your suggestion is.
As I stated, I support the salary administration survey because we'll get data that we can actually, study instead of saying, the town clerk isn't making as much in Great Barrington as one in Stockbridge. We'll actually have data across the board, which we can study. They're getting contractuals. Go ahead, Ann.
No, and Michelle, I guess I heard you saying that. I want to agree with you. I guess, right. I feel like for the department heads, we're looking to compare and then going to make a recommendation, and Mark will come to us with a recommendation for increases. And here, right. I just don't know where the increase to 150,000 or 50,000 each for free comes from. Where, is that what firefighters in the region are making? Is that more? Is that still less? And, we're also increasing overtime as well here. I don't know how that factors in. I guess I just want a clarification. Who's getting the overtime? Is it the call firefighters or the full-time firefighters? I guess I feel that this increase would be better put into the contingency line so we could get some information before we say, raises far and above what any other staff person is getting in a raise. And we've had staff who've been furloughed this year. So, we're, it's just, by the way, I think we will find that a raise that our firefighters are not making what comparable firefighters are making, but we don't have that. We haven't done the study, or at least we don't have the study.
And that is sort of my point, because we're hearing, and Ann, you just said it, is this in line with firefighters in the region? Well, when you say something like that, what are firefighters in the region making? A report, that's all, and that sort of thing, so we can actually study it. Also, there were workers who were furloughed. I understand benefits continued. If I'm incorrect, I don't know if the town manager can respond to that. But there are people who have been furloughed or lost their jobs where benefits didn't continue. Like I said, I'm talking about a balance here. Also, when we're looking at salaries, I'd like to see during this salary administration study, I want to see the salaries that stand alone, and then the salaries including the benefits, the health insurance, the dental insurance, etc. Because it's no secret in the public sector, benefits are good. They're, again, I need more answers. And what I'm saying, Kate, is much what Ann is saying.
Charlie, do you want to just answer briefly the question where you got these numbers? And I think last time you answered that this overtime was for the firefighters, not the call firefighters.
That is correct. The overtime is also for the full-time firefighters. That's when they cover when either somebody is on vacation or when they come back in for training or additional emergencies. That's what the overtime goes towards.
And then the numbers that you recommended for the increase, those were, how did you arrive at those?
A number of different ways. It does have somewhat to do with similar type jobs regionally in Western Massachusetts, which, you know, our model is a little bit different than most other towns. So it's somewhat comparing apples and oranges in some places, but so a lot of it's comparison there, comparison within the town. When my firefighters are making less than a entry-level town custodian, I think that there's a serious problem there. And they are also the only town employees that are required to live in town. And if you don't pay them enough that they can live in town, we're not going to have any firefighters. So it pretty much becomes that simple.
Okay, do I have a motion by the select board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any other discussion? Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee?
And this is Tom. I'll make a motion to approve as
I'll
recommended.
second.
And we have it seconded. Any further discussion?
And this is Tom again. I do struggle with the increase for the firefighters. It's the 15% over the delta over last year, 16% increase in overtime, and now the additional holiday pay. And I do share Kate and Michelle's concerns that we might be rushing through pretty substantial adjustments without really having the detailed studies to.
And can I ask a clarification question? So Chief Berger was saying that the firefighters are making less than an entry-level custodian. So if the fiscal year 2021 salary for the 3 firefighters is $150,000, does an entry-level custodian make more than $50,000 in Great Barrington? See, this is where I just feel like I don't have enough information. Is that correct?
I cannot speak with regards to Berkshire County. I can tell you that the Great Barrington DPW entry-level custodian makes like $24.50 an hour, and currently I have 2 firefighters that are making $23.50 an hour.
That's correct.
So an entry-level custodian makes 24 something an hour, and the firefighters are making 23 something an hour. That's correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, we definitely need that salary administration review, not just, you know. I see Kate seems to be agitated. Something to say.
I just want some clarification. We're saying that the administrative salary is just looking at department heads and one level down. So therefore, doing that is not going to give us an answer for the fire department staff. It's not going to give us answers for the custodial staff. It's not going to give us answers for administrative assistants. It's not going to give us all the answers that we need. And so that's why I think, like I said, I think we're putting the cart before the horse or whatever. Like, I feel like none of these decisions are necessarily the wrong decisions, but everything seems so askew that I just think that it has to be more cohesive. But I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm alone.
There's one way to do that, and it's not going to help us right now. But the way to do that is to ask Mark to come back to the select board and finance committee. With an executive summary reviewing all non-union personnel. So not the administrators, not the union, because we as a select board know what the union are. But there is a subset of personnel who are non-union that is what's causing the confusion. And it doesn't mean he has to come back in a week or 2 weeks, but come back with some sort of a study on our non-union personnel, non-administrative. And that's what I think that's what we're all struggling with.
And I agree with the chair. Oftentimes, and I've worked for several, the non-union employees skew the salary administration plan of the entity. So I agree with Steve on that. I'd be curious what the town manager presents with regard to that.
I mean, I guess I also do want to say, if this is actually the case and the firefighters are making less than an entry-level person in the building and ground staff, I am willing, I guess I'll just say, I'm willing to support this proposal, but I would also, and actually I would preferably like to get more information before the public hearing, just to get some context for where this is relative to other, and are the firefighters non-union? Is that correct? I'm assuming.
Non-union for now.
Right.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, Charlie. I didn't hear what you said.
You said non-union for now.
Thank you.
May I suggest that we not negotiate salaries in a public forum and let Mark do that and come back to us?
Yes.
Yes. So
are we not going to vote on this tonight then?
So I think we still have to vote on the overall budget.
Yes.
We have to make a recommendation.
So if we vote to recommend this, then the 3 firefighters will be getting individually $7,600 raise. That just seems too much in these times. Okay, can they get $3,500 now? And then if the salary analysis comes back that they're woefully underpaid, then we can bring them up to what their peers in comparable communities are making. Is there any room for that at this point? No, I guess not.
I guess, Tom, again, it was
pretty generous increase, $7,600, let me tell you.
Let me just say this, and I know it's finance committee time. There's 2 ways of looking at that, Tom. Yes, it is a generous increase. There's also what happens many times is with non-union personnel, you start them at a certain salary and they get the raises that union get usually. You usually give them the same raise, but you never adjust their base salary to make it competitive because there's no push to do that. So we started the firefighters at a certain base salary. It's possible that base salary was too low. Even if they get their 2.5% raise every year, they're never going to catch up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, these firefighters are also eligible for like the 403B or 401K, whatever the town has. So that would increase the town's requirement to match that at a higher level. See, such a dramatic increase is a gift that gives in many different buckets. So it just seems too much of a step, but in one shot.
What about this idea of doing half? And I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't remember whose idea this was, but that the finance committee, again, because I guess the select board has already voted, but that we approve half of the increase and then put the other half into the contingency budget line. Is that too complicated, Sue? Is that just too hard to manage? No.
No, that should be fine if you just want to split it in half and we can vote that figure and I'll put the other in contingency.
How do folks feel about that as an amendment?
I think that would work. So then we would recommend that increase go from 173,000 down to what, 100 and?
I don't know. It's a 25.5 increase, so it decreased. So it would increase only by 12.7 or something, 12.75, and we put the other 12.75 in the contingency line that's in the finance committee's budget.
All right. Well, this is Will. I just want to be clear, like what Kate was saying earlier. I don't know that this level of town employee, is going to come under the purview of that study. So, are we going to put this money in contingency and it's going to linger there? Are we ever going to get comparables on these salaries? Because I'm comfortable with giving these guys, hardworking guys, the raise they deserve. So, I'd like to go with the original motion.
Yeah, putting it in contingency is a nice gesture to make it feel like you're doing something, but in actuality, it doesn't affect the bottom line on the budget. And the town manager still has a right, if that money's in there, not saying he's going to go over the finance committee's head, but he could, the money's there. That money can be spent any way he wants once it's approved by town meeting.
I also have a question.
Go ahead, Michelle.
For the town manager. The salary administration work that will go on, you have stated it's at the department head level, the one you're proposing for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean if further on down the line, if you feel it may be necessary, you want to come to us saying, we have a problem here. We'd like to expand that salary administration to look at other positions. Would you be able to do that? Would you?
Yeah, I do believe I'd be able to do that. And just to be clear, the reason I proposed doing just the department head level salary survey at this time is because I believe it's something I can fund in my current budget. And the idea was to fund that portion of the study in my current budget and make salary adjustments for July 1st.
Right.
I would love, just like all of you, to have a complete townwide salary survey. I don't have the funding to do that right now in my current budget. That's something we could certainly fund. Maybe a portion of the contingency account could fund that. I don't know. I haven't reached out to consultants to get a proposal on what that would cost. But I'm estimating right now that the top level staff, department head level staff salary survey would run in the $5,000 range. And that's to compare our town with similar sized and similar complexity towns, primarily in the Commonwealth. I'd prefer that we stuck to Massachusetts communities.
And see, I think this is wise. I think what you're doing is a wise plan. But I'm saying, for now, for fiscal 22, this is what we do. But as we proceed to expand that and plan for it, so whoever's sitting on the finance committee and the select board can say, we know this is coming down the road, and that sort of thing. I have seen salary administration plans done in stages like that because of cost. So I agree with your strategy on it. So I'm not saying anyone's wrong, but I'm just not comfortable with this right now. The fire department's budget. I'm not. And I wouldn't support putting anything in contingency on it. So, but I'm only one vote.
And I believe you have a motion and a second.
So the motion is to approve the budget? The finance?
Yeah, the motion was to approve as recommended.
As recommended. So I'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
I'll vote aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Michelle?
A reluctant no, but that doesn't mean it's not going to change after the public hearing.
Sure. And I'm going to vote aye as well. Okay. But I have a reluctant aye. Reluctant in the other direction.
Moving ahead to page 15, emergency management.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate? Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Finance Committee, a motion on the budget for emergency management.
I make a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 16, building inspector.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, unanimous.
Finance Committee, motion to approve the building
Motion to
inspector.
approve. Motion to
Second.
approve, Will.
Tom,
Tom.
thank you. Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith? Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 17, animal control officer.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second, Michelle.
Thank you. For any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will? Will?
Aye.
Thank you. Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 18, DPW highway.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second, Michelle.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. I'll vote aye. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Thank you.
Continuing on tab 6, page 19, health department.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion on the Health Department budget?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
Page 20, community services.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Michelle, second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Page 21, Council on Aging. And let me just say, there is 22 attendees and 13 panelists. And if no one's attended any of the budget sessions, there's not a lot of questions here. There's a lot of discussion, good discussion. We've been through every one of these once. This is our second time through. Just want to make sure people are aware of that. So, Council of Aging, page 21.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous.
We have a motion from the Finance Committee on the Council of Aging budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? So roll call vote. Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Next one is page 22, Veterans Affairs. And I'm going to ask the select board at least to raise the line 52710. It says lease, but I need to ask Sue. Sue, that's not, doesn't limit what they spend the money on, correct? At least when Andy and were here, they talked about using it for other things.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. I did reach out to Lori Hills initially to find out what the rule was or the law was related to paying that. And I know she said you could pay up to $10,000. I don't know if it's specifically for rent. I do need to rename that line item, obviously.
Okay,
But I
so,
can get more details from her if you would like.
yeah, I think at this point we're going to vote on it. And if there's something we have to change after the public hearing, we can do that.
Okay.
So, Ed, I graciously would ask you to increase line item 52710. It's right now it's being recommended at 12. We've talked all night about tough times. There's probably no one's having a tougher time than veterans.
Mhm.
And so I would have no problem raising that to $18,000 at least.
Motion to approve with Steve's suggestion.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous. Thank you.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee on the Veterans Affairs budget?
Hi, this is Tom. I make a motion. We recommend the budget as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I would just like to thank the chair of the select board for making the recommendation. And the select board for voting the amendment.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michelle?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Page 23, libraries.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous.
Finance Committee motion on libraries budget, and Tom will need to recuse himself from this vote.
I would like to make a motion to approve the library budget as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Will. Roll call vote. Any further discussion? So sorry. Roll call vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 24, parks and recreation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I was gonna go roll call in the reverse order, but I realize I've learned your names in this order. I don't want to mess up.
And from the Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Parks and
Second.
Recreation. Will, thank you. And roll call vote. And I just try to vary it so we're not always all in the same order. But if it's easier to go in the same order, I can do that. But Tom?
Not at all.
So we have a motion on the Parks and Recreation budget. Tom?
I vote aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 25, boards and commissions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Discussion. Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
And from the Finance Committee, do I have a motion on boards and commissions?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Michelle, second.
All right, any further discussion? And I just want to ask one clarification because this is one of the larger percentage increases. This is primarily around the cost of repairing or restoring a statue that we have deferred addressing
The
its
the
needs
wing
for quite some
Victor
time.
statue.
Right.
And I'm not sure we deferred it. We fully redid that statue a number of years ago. And I think every few years they have to continue to do work on it.
Oh, I see. So it
This
needs
is-
even more work. Okay.
Just a scheduled cleaning.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
Yeah. Aye. Thank you.
Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Page 26, celebrations and events.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Unanimous.
From the Finance Committee, do I have a motion to approve the celebration and events budget? As
Motion
proposed?
to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Is that aye? Yeah.
Aye.
Okay, Tom, yeah, okay, that's what I wasn't sure, yeah. Tom?
Tom votes aye.
Okay, Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay.
Page 27, debt service.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous for the select board.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I as well. Thank you.
Page 28, retirement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Michelle.
Second. Sorry, Michelle.
That's okay, Tom.
I think I have 2 seconds, but any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 29, insurance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Page 30 wastewater.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
So we are now on tab 7, capital requests. So I'm going to do these by department, and then we can do it within each department if necessary. So we'll start with the police.
You want one motion for the whole,
Yeah, and then we can withdraw the motion if there's someone who.
motion to approve the police capital request?
Steve, Sue, Carmel has her hand up.
Yeah, Sue, you
Did
can
you-
go right ahead and speak, Sue, before the
Thank
motion.
you. Before you take a motion, I just wanted to mention, you can see that we have the speed trailer listed as hopefully a grant. Unfortunately, we were recently notified that we actually weren't eligible for that grant. So I just want to keep that on the table and probably move that to either the borrowing column or if there's discussion about funding some of these capitals by free cash.
Okay,
So-
Ed. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess that was something I wanted to discuss was the funding source for some of these capital items.
Good.
Okay. I don't know. Do you want me to make
Yeah,
that
let's
discussion
go.
now or?
I mean, obviously a $13,000 item to borrow seems ridiculous.
Right. So Sue and I kind of went through this a little bit and we came up with 4 additional, well, I guess that would make 4 additional items. We came up with 3 other items besides the police cruiser that could be funded through free cash. And that's the portable radios, the new laptops for the cruisers, and the parks improvements. Am I correct in that list, Sue?
Mm-hmm.
And then that would be also the speed trailer. And the thinking for that, if I just have to add that 13 would be it'd be like $1,600. I'm not doing the math fast enough in my head. Or sorry, $160,000 in free cash, roughly, that we'd be using instead of borrowing and incurring debt on kind of these smaller items. And I don't know if that means that we would move them out of capital requests and put them into the actual budgets of those departments and use more. That part I don't know, but I just I think I would just recommend moving in that direction just because of the amount of debt we are incurring.
So what you could do, Kate, is just make a motion. They can stay under capital requests. It's just their source is changing. So just make a motion, and I'm presuming, to approve these items and then just specify the funding sources. And parks we'll get to when we get to parks. And Ann, I'll see you in 1 second. No problem.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve the items listed for the police, where the funding source is coming from free cash.
For all of the police.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Ann, go ahead.
I just want to clarify. So will this then be one large joint special article of the? That's okay. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
So does that? If we decide to use free cash as a capital, I know tradition, but does it have to be a special article? Because we're approving capital.
The reason I'm doing it as as opposed to doing it as the capital article.
Yeah.
I just would get more complicated. You know how you have to read, each and every, you're right, I could leave it there and just change the funding source. It's just going to be lengthier, that article.
But my concern is that we vote on each special article separately, and that's going to be complicated too. So I'm not sure there's, so you can figure out.
Talk about it.
You can figure out how to do it. I don't think it matters how we do it. It's that the source is changed.
Yep.
So I have a motion from Kate, a second by Bill. Other discussion. Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous.
And Steve, can I just be clear? So right now you just voted on the police capital requests with the moving of some out of into the free funded through free cash, correct?
All of those would be funded through free cash.
And that's what you guys just voted on, is that correct?
Okay.
You didn't vote on Parks and Recreation yet?
No, we're
right?
going police,
Okay.
DPW, parks, and then wastewater.
I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So do I have a motion from the Finance Committee to approve the police capital requests as funded through the free cash?
I'll make a motion that we approve the police capital budget as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
I vote aye as well.
So next is the select board, is the DPW for the select board. Sorry, it's getting late. DPW for the select board.
Yeah, everybody okay if I do that all as one?
Yes.
Motion to approve the capital request for DPW.
I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye.
Pardon me, Steve.
Yes.
I just wanted to add the generator to the discussion. I did throw out the estimate last week that we got a number of 100,000 for the generator at the police department.
Okay, so we voted. So if someone would like to make a motion on that and a funding source. And Sue, can I have your recommendation on a funding source for the generator?
For 100,000, that would be capital.
So moved.
I'll second.
So motion by Ed, second by Bill, to add $100,000 to the DPW capital, and the funding would be borrowing. Any discussion?
That's a generator for the police station, right?
How many years will this take us? I guess, Sean.
I'd say at least 20.
Oh.
Any other questions? Roll call. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye. Thank you, Sean. I forgot about that.
Do we need to do this as two separate motions or one?
You can do it as one. We just,
Okay.
I neglected on that one.
Do I hear a motion for the DPW capital request budget as amended?
And this is Tom. Just
Yeah.
a question before a motion, if that's permissible.
Sure.
Are we voting on the 2.377 million or just on the vehicles and equipment for DPW right now?
We did the whole thing.
No,
okay.
No, what? No,
Yeah,
you
they
did,
voted on the 2.377 million. But they did DPW all in one category.
Yes.
oh,
That was my question.
I thought it was just vehicles and equipment. Okay.
No,
No, that,
Oh,
I just wanted to, okay.
okay.
So,
Okay.
with that
So-
understanding,
Do you want
then
to
I'll
make a
make-
motion? Yeah.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we recommend the DPW budget as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, can we talk about
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
About
same. The
the municipal parking lot and engineering expenses? And I don't know if where we are with alternatives and if any at the moment. Or suppose we don't want to support just that part of it, then Like, can we just vote, say, in favor of vehicles and equipment and building and grounds and street improvements, but not the funding for the parking lot?
You can vote on whatever you would like.
Okay.
Why doesn't the finance committee go area by area in the DPW?
Yes.
All right.
Then I'll withdraw my motion.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion withdrawn. Do I have a motion from the finance committee to support, to endorse the vehicles and equipment budget of the DPW? Or capital request budget from DPW.
Okay, this is Tom. I make a motion, we approve the vehicles and equipment capital request as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Nate.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm really struggling with the ticket kiosk at this time, spending $53,000. Could someone, I know it was discussed. Can someone just explain it again? The justification for it.
Hi, Sean here. So the idea is that we would be able to get the purchasing of the dump stickers out of the town clerk's office where it's held now into the location up at the transfer station. So if a resident came on a Saturday and wanted to purchase a dump sticker, right now they can't because the clerk's office is closed. So they'd be able to go and insert their credit card and get a coupon or sticker to purchase whatever they like for recycling or for a year-round sticker or for anything. I do hope that the cost comes in less than that, but that was the only kiosk I could find online with a number.
You know, I struggle with this because, you know, just myself, my experience with nomination papers and citizens petitions, I had to take time off from work to go do it. It's a similar thing. Sometimes, you know, the town hall is what the town hall is. People have to make accommodations to get there when it's open. 53,000 just seems just too much for a ticket kiosk. And I'm not questioning, Sean, the estimate you got, but I don't think this is the year to do it.
But as I said, I don't believe it'll be that much money, but I had to budget. It's making sure it would be. Yeah.
I think go ahead.
Yeah, Michelle, I just want to support what you said earlier. I know for myself, it's so difficult to get there during the work week to get the tickets. I think this would really help a lot of people in the town to get the tickets for using the transfer station. I agree, it's a tough year, but I think this would be something that would really improve people's experience of living in Great Barrington. Believe it or not, that it's easier to get rid of your trash.
But you also have to be able to afford to live in Great
Barrington. No, I agree. I don't know.
But I know many times Sean has been the devil's advocate, and he has presented, you know, he errs on the side of caution. And so I think on this one, I have to trust him and his cost figure and just hope it comes in less. So that's all I have to say on that. Not happy about it, but.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All right. So a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
A reluctant yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Will?
Sorry.
All right. Thank you. It's okay. Reluctant yes, I get. Yeah. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. All right. So Finance Committee, DPW budget, motion on the DPW budget for building and grounds.
I make a motion, we approve the capital budget, building and grounds DPW request.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Do I have a motion on the DPW street and bridge improvements capital requests?
And this is Tom. I want to make a motion, but I want to amend the amount. So I don't know if we make a motion on the whole amount and then we discuss, or.
Steve?
Well, I'll just
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
would
put it
make a
out.
motion on the amount you want approved, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd make a motion for street and bridge improvements that the Finance Committee recommends street improvements of $420,000.
I second that motion.
And can I just, so discussion, and I guess I want to discuss, what about the engineering? Was that about the parking lot, or is that general engineering?
That's the same engineering we approved in other years so that projects can move ahead at a much faster speed. Sean, am I correct?
It's general engineering, yes.
Yeah, so I guess, is this an amendment?
I'll withdraw my motion, Ann, and you can amend it.
All right, can I amend the motion that we approve the engineering and street improvements for $720,000?
I second that.
Any further discussion?
Can a non-member weigh in?
Yes, please.
So we have all heard for many years people saying we need more parking. I'm not saying we do or don't. I'm really not. I'm not weighing in on the merits of purchasing the land for this lot. I'm weighing in on letting the people of the town make that decision, not this small group. It's been such a discussion for so many years to be able to put in front of them and say, if we want more parking, this is what it will cost. Should we pursue it? And leave it up to town meeting. That's why I supported having it here. We had a letter just recently from somebody who said, even at this point, Wheeler and Taylor's not renting their spaces. I know that was proposed as an option because they're waiting on the town to bid on them. I just think if we put this in front of the voters and let them make the decision, is it worth this money? We'll have an answer to this question finally.
Well, Ed, can I ask for some clarification?
Sure.
When we make votes, we're making votes on what we're recommending or not recommending, correct?
Right.
And isn't it our role to recommend?
Well, this won't go, if you vote no on this, it won't be in front of town meeting unless somebody proposes on the floor of town meeting to put it there. But as presented won't have it. If you vote yes, the number will be there. You can still get up and say, we put it here so that you can weigh in. You can even speak against it. It just gives town meeting the opportunity to make this decision.
And my question is that at the public hearing, however, citizens can come forth as well, correct?
Yeah, generally 5 or 6 people do.
Yeah, but that's on the citizen. And you know that we've had these discussions.
Yeah.
But no, I hear what you're saying. But I believe that's what the public hearing's for, and that evolves into the annual town meeting.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you've said about how expensive this is, how expensive it is per spot. I live in town. I don't park downtown. I just think this has been such a long discussion for so many years. It'd be great to put it in front of town meeting. But I've said my piece.
And could I also speak alongside this?
Please. Mm-hmm.
So I just like to echo what Ed was saying, because I do believe that this is a unique opportunity for us to really take it in front of the town, in front of the citizens, and have Mark really give a presentation on what he sees the benefits to the town, because I don't feel that we've had that opportunity. And, we've seen year after year after year, this discussion on there's not enough parking, and perhaps there isn't, but there's a perception that there isn't enough parking. And so we need to address the perception as well as the reality. And if that's going to affect economic development in Great Barrington, that's something that needs to be addressed. And I think that it's prudent for us to actually, accept and embrace the town managers being proactive about this and doing the work, and put the onus on him. Let him present this to town meeting But I just think it could be short-sighted to cut it off at this stage. I think that because it has been a reoccurring issue for years and years, let it progress to its natural point, and let Mark do the presentation, let townspeople speak in favor or speak against, and just let democracy and the nature of this discussion go forth. So I do support this for that reason.
I guess
But also, I'm sorry, Ann, go ahead.
yeah, I guess I'm still then really sort of struggling with what we do here. So
Yeah.
I'm supposed to recommend something that I don't recommend.
So let me ask this question. Could I just ask Sue and Mark a question? If we remove this from capital and put it under special articles, in special articles, it's either the way we've done it in the past, at least, either the select board or finance committee makes a recommendation on those. But since the select board's already recommended it, it would appear before the town meeting, and it could appear with a negative recommendation from the finance committee
That's what I thought.
and a positive from the select board, still appear, but just not be in capital. It would be in special articles.
I agree. I think that's correct.
Okay, so I would ask that if the finance committee wants to remove this, to vote no on it, that they have every right to do that. And then the select board will vote to move that to special articles. After the public hearing, we'll vote on that. The select board will vote to recommend it. The finance committee will vote not to recommend it if that's the case.
If that's
But
what
it
we
will,
vote, we haven't
it
voted.
will appear still before the town meeting.
It can still be borrowing on special articles?
Yes.
Okay.
It seems to me this actually fits better under a special article, now that I think about it.
Steve, you are a brilliant parliamentarian.
All right.
Nobody told me that, but thank you.
So there is a motion to the finance committee to approve the capital request for streets and bridges of $7,200,000.
No, 720,000.
What did I say?
I don't know, 70,000.
I'm sorry, I'm getting tired too. I knew I said the wrong. Okay, so 720,000. Yes, I got it. Okay. All right. So there is a motion. Any further discussion? And it's been seconded. Nope. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
So, Ann, why don't you guys do the generator, and then we'll go and move that to special articles.
But I think we did the generator under vehicles and equipment, didn't we?
We did.
They do, okay.
No.
I missed that.
Yeah, we did it as amended.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
But it belongs under buildings and grounds, not vehicles and equipment.
That's okay. They approved
Okay.
it, so.
But
wherever
yes,
you-
they did approve it.
Okay, yes,
Do I have a motion from the select board to move purchase of land for municipal parking lot and municipal parking lot construction to the special articles?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Ed, a second by Kate. Any discussion? The roll call vote, Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. So just so everyone's clear, we are not going to discuss that under special articles tonight. We've discussed it, but it will appear there for the public hearing. Okay.
Yeah, just to circle back to the police cruiser that's in there is still a special article, or did we take it out of it being a special article because of the vote that we just made on it?
Yeah, the real question is, why does it still need to be a special article? We've all approved it. We've approved it for free cash
Then where would it appear in the budget?
in capital.
Oh,
Would that work, Sue?
Absolutely. The only reason I listed it like that and thought of doing it as a special article is because typically the capital article is mostly for borrowing with other pieces of projects having additional funding from something else. But because all of that was going to be funded by free cash, that was why I really wasn't going to include it under the capital article, but I'm sure it doesn't make a difference. We can always ask David his opinion on that.
Okay, so for tonight, we've discussed that. We're not going to discuss it under special article, and if we can remove it as a special article, we will.
I have a question. Did finance actually vote on buildings and grounds, the Reed cleanup?
We
Yes.
did, yes.
You did, okay. All right,
Thank you. But thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Do I have a motion from the select board on parks?
Motion to approve.
And the funding source, Ed, would then be free cash. That was the request. That was
Oh,
the
that's right.
suggestion
Yep.
by Kate.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, motion to approve that as free cash.
A second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee?
Motion to approve the Parks Improvement Capital Budget as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Finally, under capital requests, wastewater.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Okay.
Finance committee on wastewater, please.
Oh, I'm so
Motion to
sorry.
approve wastewater.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michelle,
Aye.
Meredith.
Aye.
Thank you. Tom,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Moving ahead to tab 9, special articles. Now, as I said before, the way we've done these is if either board gives a positive recommendation, they will move on to the public hearing. If neither board does, they die here. So let's start with community impact funding.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I, unanimous.
I have a motion from the finance committee on the community impact funding, special article.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michelle,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Next is emergency medical services. This is going to be a discussion. Sue, you had a number of questions that you were going to ask. So I'll put Dennis and Bill are both, and Bob Holdsworth are all there. Can you start us off with some of your questions since you're the financial expert?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you did say Bill is on, correct?
Bill is on.
Okay, great. So Bill, thank you for forwarding all of those financials this weekend. I was able to go through some of them and kind of do a little quick analysis and come up with some questions. One of the first things actually I wanted, before I kind of ask specifically to your financials, one of the things I noticed in reviewing your past actuals, last year you presented a slide when you came before us at budget time that showed the actuals from 2015 through 2019. And then this year's slide shows the same years. However, the numbers for either your surplus or deficit don't agree with last year's slide. And I was wondering if you could explain that.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's the audited adjustment. After our auditors take a look at it, it is going to change as far as how they adjust things and how they move things around. Our depreciation schedule was adjusted last year, along with the amount of bad debt, which is continuously adjusted.
Okay, but that I could see that somewhat explaining the prior year, but your actuals for things from 2015, 2016, those would have already been audited when you presented that to us last year. So I don't
Correct.
see why those numbers would have changed.
Now, are you looking at the financial slide that I had up?
Yep.
Okay, that was actually generated by another gentleman other than myself. It was an individual from the town that Philip Ornstein, and he went through everything. So I don't have ownership on this other than we worked together on it, and he felt this was the best way to describe things. So I did not compare it to my 990s.
Okay. It's just,
I'll be more than glad to do that, but it's water under the bridge
Yeah.
at this point, I suspect.
it's just really, you have to understand it's difficult for us when the financials aren't tying out between each other, for us to understand where things are at.
Understood?
I mean, for example, 2019, what you presented to us last year was a shortfall of 181,000, yet the slide that you presented last week shows a shortfall of 401,000. That's a big difference.
That is a big difference.
One of the other things I did was I compared your actuals for 2020 against the budget for 2020. And I was hoping that you could explain the large increase in the payroll taxes in both operations and administration.
The difference in reduction from 2019 to 20, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question. I was busy switching to the slide you were looking at.
From your actuals for 2020, I took off of the P&L. And your budget for 2021, your payroll taxes are increasing 40% and 108%.
I wasn't aware of that. So I can't answer your question. That's my bookkeeper that does that. And we also have a payroll company called Paychecks that does all of our books for us as far as payroll. That includes our payroll taxes and the likes. We did have a lot of overtime, which causes a lot of tax changes, but that's all I know at this point, and I wish I'd known it sooner so I could have given you a better answer than I've got right now.
Yeah, because the payroll taxes are typically, in most part, paid by the employees. So even if they had overtime, their federal and state taxes would be going up. That wouldn't be a burden on your budget.
And maybe in the way that we're accounting for it.
Okay, maybe you're changing the way you're accounting for it in 2021's budget.
Very possible.
Okay. There was a 30% increase in the medical supplies from the actuals for 2020 to your budget for 2021. Can you explain that?
It's the increase in the amount we're going to have to spend for personal protection. The equipment, such as gowns, masks, we never used to go through for every call. Now every call, we've got to use gloves, masks, gowns, face shields. And what's ridiculous is a 15-cent mask that I used to purchase is now $1.50 to $2 a piece. You go through 2 or 3 of those a call, and then add the number of calls per day. It adds up significantly. The prices for all of our PPE, for whatever reason, went through the roof, and now we're having to bid against federal government, state government, and private.
Okay. Can I ask a question just specifically, Sue? Do you mind if I just jump in?
Sure.
So you had a question, you were mentioning the PPE is going up, and there isn't any additional funding that you could apply for to cover those costs?
We actually did in 2020, which is part of the funding we got from the federal government. That was $50,000. Fire departments were allowed to, there actually was grants for fire departments for PPE, but for privates and nonprofits, There was no funding whatsoever. We were expected to fund it out of our revenues.
But Bill, your actuals for 2020, you would have included PPE. Well, you would have expended for PPE in 2020 as well, three quarters of the year. Or are you saying you had funding for that during 2020?
We had funding for it. Plus, we cut expenses to the bone in 2020 because of how tight our financials were and not getting what we expected for stipends and revenues in 2020. You can see that we've cut everything back quite a bit from where we were to start with.
Okay, and then can you explain how you handle the depreciation in the budget? I see that you have $66,000 budgeted for depreciation under vehicles, and I would like to understand how you use that.
Smith & Watson does all of our budgeting for our depreciation, and we just enter it into the books for what they tell us to write down. We did purchase 2 vehicles. One was the Intercept vehicle, and the other one was a remounted ambulance for a backup truck. So those were entered into the books, which caused a significant increase in the amount of depreciation expense from in 2019.
So are you setting that money aside every year that you put in the budget for depreciation?
Unfortunately, we end up spending it to fund the rest of our operations.
Okay, and then I guess I don't understand why you budget for depreciation every year if you're not setting it aside to purchase a new vehicle, because that's actually what that's for.
We would have if we weren't having to cut expenses year after year to try to continue to provide services. It was one of the things that I alluded to in our initial briefing, that we weren't purchasing new vehicles because we couldn't afford to.
Can you tell me what you have in reserves?
Currently in reserves, I have about $190,000 in cash, and then I also have about almost $60,000 in a line of credit that's available to me.
Okay, and how much of that are you going to be applying towards the $260,000 deficit for 2021?
That's actually money that's going to carry us to your fiscal year because we use a calendar year.
Right. I think but I'm not understanding your response. I'm asking how much of those reserves that you have on hand that you're applying towards your proposed shortfall for 2021.
That's just going to carry us to 2021 for you. We're currently already operating off our 2021 budget.
I know that. Are you using any of your reserves to offset your budget?
Yes.
And how much of it are you using?
Whatever we have. We've got 180 right now.
Okay. And then I know there were a couple questions centered around the foundation account last week. Were you able to come up with what the balance was?
I was not. I was unfortunately was busy with answering the rest of the questions and didn't get to that one. There was a specific question as to what items we purchased. One of the items was the foundation financed a EMT class, which we ended up having to cancel part of the way through because of COVID and not being allowed to conduct classes in person. That was somewhere in the neighborhood of $18,000 to $20,000.
Okay, so I was able to get a hold of the 990 for the foundation, the 2019 IRS 990 filing. And at the end of 2019, the foundation account has $820,000 in it.
Okay, but the foundation is not related to Southern Berkshire Volunteer Ambulance Squad. That's a total separate nonprofit.
Okay, I have to say I was not listening fully to the discussion last week around the foundation, but I thought it was another source of revenue that you could request some additional funding from them.
We can, but they have a set of bylaws that they can only use so much money a year, so that they don't spend all the money and not be able to continually provide grants to all emergency services in Southern Berkshire County, which is their mission.
Okay. So then my final question, you had, when I'd asked you about the depreciation, you said that Smith & Watson prepares your budget. If that's the case, I'm sorry?
They don't prepare our budget. They prepare the depreciation schedule.
Okay. When you prepared the budget, have you attempted to balance the budget?
Yes.
Okay. And can we take a look at that sometime? I'd like to see that if you're able to send that to me at some point.
Sure. But it's, we can't operate on a, the budget, I tried to balance it in any way I could. The shortfall you're seeing is cutting everything to the bone. But I'll be more than glad to show it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Bill, this is Ann.
Hi, Ann.
And I think some members of your board are here today as well. Is that right?
Yes, Dennis Hogan's here.
I'm here.
Yeah. Hi, Dennis. And I guess I'm just wondering, what is the board's involvement in looking to the future for SBAS? I mean, is this something that the board has been talking about? I did work with Bill on looking at some of the call data and the billing data, and there does seem to be a significant issue here. What is coming to the towns for asking for funding? Is that really the board's plan? What is the long-range fundraising plan, or is there the plan basically just to keep coming back to towns?
I can speak to that. Certainly the board has been very much involved developing strategies for the significant changes that have occurred in terms of funding from federal sources that started in 2018. I think we've gone over that with you and shown you that the significant shift from non-public, let's call them private insurance type funds, and the shift into Medicare and Medicaid that has grown to be about from in the 40s, high 40s 3 years ago, into nearly, I guess it's around 70% of the revenue we can count on for the patients we serve or transport in all the towns we do serve, plus mutual aid to other towns. Hence, we started coming to the towns, last year and a half ago with this issue to point out that the shift in our ability to serve and make a break even has fallen behind. Right now, the 911 service that we provide to all our towns, the amount of insurance payment, we'll call it that, public and private, is less than the cost of providing a 24/7, 365 ability to respond. We have to be ready to respond to any call at any time of day, and there's a number of fixed costs you just can't change. You cannot change the need for ambulances. You cannot change the need to keep them, to replace them. You cannot change the fixed cost of the payroll and benefits that you have to have keeping enough crews on to provide the service we do for over 3,000 calls a year. You can't change that. What's happened is the funding for that has been dropping off because of the increases in what we've talked about, decrease in revenue and the increase in the number of patients that are sicker and older and have, in some cases, no insurance at all. So that has really shifted since 2018. So the board has been very much involved in suggesting ways to offset that, but it's not possible without the support of the towns. It was when we were not in this position 3 years ago, but things have changed.
Dennis, let me just ask you this question.
Sure.
What I understand Bill's asking us to do is fund last year's deficit. And I don't know how a town can.
Not last year's deficit.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
No, I want to know what you said, Bill, because I don't need things to be repeated. You can go ahead, Bill. Nothing you've said has made sense. So go ahead and try to make some sense out of this.
I'm sorry.
No, Bill, it's a public meeting. Go ahead.
It's not last year's deficit. It's going to be this year's deficit.
Okay, my mistake. This year's deficit. So Dennis, trying to get back to you. I don't know how a town or any entity that has no control over the expenses or running of an operation can from year to year agree to fund part of another entity's deficit. That's like fiscal suicide for us. So if this year we say we're going to fund part of $200,000, and next year you lose 400, and we're expected to fund that when we have no say in what you're spending or how you run your operation, when does it become fiscally irresponsible for us to do that? If you had come to us with a plan that said, we need you to fund X amount every year, and it was a reasonable amount, I can see that. But basing it on a deficit doesn't seem to be something that, at least in my mind, what the voters put us into our position to do. I mean, it really scares me that we're just expected to help fix a deficit instead of not seeing, that seems to be the way, because no one else has explained it. That seems to be the way that you've tried to fill the gap between the deficit and the break even. And I don't know how the town can do that.
Steve, can I answer? Can I address that?
Yeah,
Steve,
please.
it's Bob Holdsworth. May I? Okay. You're using the term deficit. The issue is the service that is required to provide to the citizens can only generate so much money from billing and collections because of who is using the ambulance and because of the insurance carriers that they have, card they have in their wallet. 80%, 79% of the volume that's picked up that are state and federal payers, so Medicare and Medicaid patients. No ambulance service has any way to control the usage of that ambulance. They have no way to cut the service back by saying, I'm sorry, I can't take you to the hospital. But they do have to take it on the chin with whatever that discount is. And as the population ages and as the population shifts, the ambulance services around the country are at the mercy of how that works. So there is a deficit in the service on an annualized basis. If you were a hospital and you had a deficit, you would curtail hours. If you had a deficit as the town, you would cut back services. The ambulance service doesn't have the ability to do that. So the only way they can do that is either the fundraising that's been requested, which has been done, or going to the customers, which are not only the patients for their insurance, but also the municipalities that they're providing the service to. And I know there's discussion about what is the right formula. Ed was very articulate about that in the last one about not sure about the formula, and other people said too. And we have to deal with this year, and we have to deal with the ability to, what is the service levels that you all want? So when somebody dials 911, there's an ambulance coming faster than coming from, Pittsfield or what have you. Mutual aid doesn't work because the other services are having the same issue. So for years, there were volunteers, not payroll. For years, there was adequate funding. That has changed. Volunteers have dissipated. And now we're faced with an operation that does have a shortfall. You use deficit, I say shortfall, because each year they've used money that's been in their bank account to get there. An ambulance service should have a couple of months of reserve, so the 190 should not be spent down to zero, because there could be a glitch, which there was last year, when Medicare and Medicaid did not make payments during sequestration from the government. If they didn't have that, they wouldn't have anything to operate. So going down to a bare bone zero makes absolutely no sense, just as municipalities and states have rainy day funds. But we have to get to a point where the government, the federal government and the state government has shifted some burden to local based on what local services are expected to provide to their municipalities. And that's what we're talking about here. What that number is, and certainly getting our arms around the numbers for you so that you're comfortable with them makes absolute sense. That's your responsibility, and we support 100% the fiscal responsibility to do that. If you're not satisfied with that, we'll keep going until you are. But the bottom line is there's going to be an operational deficit that has to be funded by the people getting the service some way or another. So we have to do it this year and what that number is. And then we have to sit down and strategize when we're not under the budget gun to finish the budget to figure out what the formula is going forward so that you can budget for it and we can rely on it and the service can be provided to the citizens who are getting older, getting sicker, needing it more. And then you throw a pandemic on top of it and it really throws a wrench in the budget. So that's my pitch.
So, and Lee, I'll recognize you a second. And everything you said makes sense, Bob, and I appreciate that. My problem is this was the same discussion we had last year, and with lack of return calls, lack of urgency, we're in the same position we were last year, and that worries me a little bit. Lee, go ahead. You're muted, Lee. Sorry.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you. So just listening to Sue's questions and, going over the various reports that have been sent to us. Thank you for sending all those. My issue is just a concern and a lack of confidence in the fiscal management of the organization. And I hate to say this, that, I understand the challenges this year and the challenges in the past years, but, just listening to last year's presentation and seeing that, the ambulance squad has been running in a deficit for 6 out of 9 years, and that some of the reports don't seem to match up, and there's various hands involved in the budgets, and I just don't see a consistency, and I just don't have any confidence in this. And not even knowing where this $112,000 or $40,000 or whatever's voted on, if anything's going to go to, I just feel like we're putting a Band-Aid on a major problem, and this is not sustainable, I don't think. And I think that we're just, throwing good money, good money after bad money. And, I would almost go out on a limb and say we shouldn't give any money, because I don't even know what it's going to do except, plug up a hole that seems not to be able to be pluggable at this point. There's a lack of confidence I have in seeing all these reports, and there's just too much inconsistency for me, and I just don't know what this money will go to except, handling bad debt. So I have a lack of confidence, and I would personally say that we shouldn't put any money towards the ambulance squad this year.
Chair, may I speak, Michelle?
Of course, Michelle.
First off, thank you to Sue Carmel. You asked a lot of questions and cleared up some of my questions. But Sue brought up the foundation. My question is, what is this foundation? What is its mission? Are you receiving you said there's a formula the foundation uses in order to make bequests to emergency services in the area. Are you receiving the maximum that you can receive from this foundation? It would seem to me this foundation would be the first go-to. And so I'm curious if you're receiving the maximum that you can receive from them.
I can answer that, Michelle.
Okay.
As Bill pointed out, the foundation is an independent institution, and they receive requests for grants, and they're able to fill them up to the amount of their charter. I'm not quite sure what that amount of money is, but I think we can make that known through having a representative of the foundation talk to you about it. But they take requests for anything to do with emergency services. I don't know whether you were in on any of the conversations we've had in the past. Certainly the granting of the money for the EMT class, I think it was about $20,000. That was certainly, I think, very essential. They have also responded to requests from the fire department and gave them jaws of life at the expense of, I think, $20,000 to $25,000. They have provided, I think there was a rescue dog for the police that I remember. I'm not privy to all of the requests that they get, but they are numerous.
It's the ambulance squad. I'm just concerned with the ambulance squad. If you must have requested X amount of dollars, did you receive the maximum that you could receive?
We received what we requested.
Pardon?
I don't think there's a maximum that they assign to any one emergency service, because they're not sure what the request will be on an annual basis.
Because I guess maybe I'm not seeing this correct. It would seem to me this foundation should be supporting emergency services. They see one that's struggling and they're not stepping up.
I can't say that they're not stepping up.
I just think I think it's, again, we have one of these situations where the taxpayer is the go-to. And
just let me point out that the foundation does have a cap on how much they can spend on an annual basis.
Right, but I'm specifically asking about your organization.
But we can request whatever we feel is appropriate or needed.
I mean, you're asking from the town of Great Barrington, if I'm correct, $111,882. Is that correct?
Well, yes, I think so.
I'm looking at the PowerPoint, okay, and I don't know if that's changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering, did you go to this foundation and say we're struggling? The same argument you're using here with the town of Great Barrington, and did that happen? I'm just not seeing this. Or did you just assume the town of Great Barrington was going to accept this?
I think Michelle wants to know why you didn't ask the foundation for the money you need instead of coming to the town first.
Actually, they can always say no. And
I take your point. It's certainly one of the things we need to pursue further, but we didn't think that what they were doing was going to really be the answer to what we really have as a much larger issue. The amount of money that they might be able to give us would be relatively insignificant fixing this problem.
But we don't know what that is. That's my question. And as often is the case, since I've been on the finance committee, it's oftentimes we'll say what other monetary support is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep hearing this foundation, but I'm not getting any any figures on it. Oftentimes when you do a grant, and if the thing is if you're eligible to ask for $100,000 and you can substantiate it, you do. Whether you get the grant or not is another thing. But then I would ask, why isn't the foundation granting the money?
Well, we haven't gone to them at this point because we felt.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we haven't gone to them at this point. We certainly can include it in the various options that we feel are open to us, but the amount of money that I think that they can grant us will not fix this problem. We'll still have to come back to the towns for providing a service, an essential service that was not charged to you for many, many years. And now with the circumstances of funding and expenses and utilization having changed so much so quickly, this is the thing we feel we need to do now.
I do understand that, but what I'm saying is you should have gone to I'm going to come right out. You should have gone to the foundation first. If there was a gap, then come to the town of Great Barrington, the taxpayers. I don't understand why it wasn't done in that sequence. If this foundation's duty or mission, and I don't know that, is to support emergency services, you would say we've exhausted all avenues. We're coming before the town of Great Barrington now as the last resort, the last funding resort. I know why you're doing this, but how you're going about it, I question.
Yeah, Steve?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, a foundation that gives $20,000 grants is not likely to come up with a $200,000 annual general operating support grant, no matter how well they're funded. That's not what they fund. I have a question, I guess, for my fellow board members, and I'm not endorsing this amount or giving this or even giving anything, but if we don't, they either cut service or they go out of business, and then we provide the service ourselves. Are we prepared to do that? We don't have a plan B. We need to create a plan B. If they're running at a deficit because the way ambulance services are funded has changed through no fault of their own. Perhaps they're inefficient. I entirely understand what Steve is saying, and perhaps we put a condition on any money we give them that we get a seat on the board, or they don't get the money. But there isn't an option. They need more money. They're coming to taxpayers. We pay for police, we pay for fire, we pay for all sorts of emergency needs that our citizens have. We've never had to pay for this before until last year. We're being asked to pay for it. I still don't think that's a question. The question is, what's the funding formula? If Sandusfield needed an ambulance squad, they would have to buy an ambulance for the 12 calls they have or whatever it is. Great Barrington could probably run, I think our fire chief has said we could run just Great Barrington's needs at a break even. That's why I keep questioning the funding formula. But I guess this question really is for my fellow board members. If we don't do this, if the towns as a group don't do this, who will?
Kate, go ahead.
So I guess this isn't a follow-up to Ed's, which maybe is more pressing than some of the questions I have. Steve, do you want to just?
Yeah, you go ahead. You had your hand up, and my answer to Ed would be, he makes perfectly good sense, but when do we say enough is enough? And it's, we put our finger in the dike, and when is enough enough? But go ahead, Kate. You asked your questions.
Yeah, going through the budgets and whatnot, and seeing the comparisons for 2020 and 2021, I'm wondering where in these budgets I don't see a line item for the money you got from the towns last year. We approved $40,000 at town meeting last year, and I don't see it here anywhere. And I know the other towns gave you money as well. I think we've all said it. There's nothing about these numbers that are making any sense to us. And to be honest, Bill, it sounds like they're really confusing to you too. And it may be just that they are really confusing. But it seems really inconsistent. And I guess, I'm also wondering if you have a contractual service with somebody for billing, who does your billing, because I have certainly heard stories of people getting their bills so late from the ambulance that their insurance is refusing to pay it. And I don't we need to have a plan, but I can't really say that I want to spend taxpayers' money on that kind of plan. I want to spend taxpayers' money on a plan that's going to get everything they can from it, consistent with the other operations that we have in our town. So,
yeah, thanks, Kate.
I think I just want to respond to Ed's question, and I think Bill did come in front of us I think that it was in the PowerPoint, I think, Bill, you did have a slide about what would you do if this was not funded. Is that correct? If I recall correctly? I think this was slide 6 on your PowerPoint presentation last week, and that you would postpone vehicle replacement, seek additional federal support, seek additional grants, and you may need to cut EMS capacity, and you would look for other funding opportunities in the community. Is that correct?
Those are all things we're currently doing also. The last one we have not done yet, which is cutting staff or cutting services, but we're getting there.
I guess I find myself, I think I want to sort of circle back to Ed's point that, so if we don't approve the full amount or we approve a portion of the amount, maybe we should, to make an informed decision, what would that cut look like? Because is it, will you cut 2 staff, 3 staff? Will go down to fewer ambulances available? I guess I feel like we're sort of voting on an unknown to some degree, to a great degree here. I think I agree. I agree with the statement earlier that you have a problem in terms of bringing in enough revenues to balance your budget, whether you call that a shortfall or a deficit. And this isn't going to change. So if the town weren't to support you financially, what would we be getting in terms of service from Southern Berkshire Ambulance Squad?
We'd have to know that amount along with the amounts that the rest of the towns will be contributing before we could be able to answer that question. It's not something that we can do on the fly.
We don't have commitments yet from the other towns, although I have to say that their view of the 2 solutions that we have suggested is kind of different from yours. One of the things that we think we ought to do right away is to have a meeting with representatives from each of the towns so that their views and yours could be discussed, because their way of looking at this is kind of different from yours. We also think that it might be time to involve other folks and talk about regionalization again. I mean, it's something that I think is an answer, but it's not going to happen overnight. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but I think that may be a way of assuring the folks that are involved that everybody's pulling in the right direction. There just needs to be an agreement as to where to go to stop what's going on. Now, how do you feel about moving ahead in that direction and perhaps getting some of our state representatives and senators involved?
Lee, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have the slide in front of me, but could you remind us of the ask from the other towns and where they are in their discussions, please?
Give me just a moment, please. The other towns right now are as up in the air as you are. The only one that has made a commitment of sorts at this time and has put together a warrant article is Egremont. And correct me, Dennis, was it 25?
25,000. We had asked for 32, I believe.
I think it was 29.7, no?
Yes, I'm looking at the slide. It was 29,704.
Which one? That's the approach 2.
It's slide 10 of your PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. They were more along the lines of liking or opting for option 1, which was the had the calculations based on equalized value.
Oh, okay.
So that's, but for Egremont, that was 32,483.
Yeah,
Right.
And they approved that amount?
No, they set aside a warrant article for 25.
How about the other towns, please?
They haven't done anything as of yet. Monterey proposed that we have a meeting of the towns to try to tackle this problem.
To reach agreement on what formula should be adopted. That's pretty much where they are.
I think I'd like to just follow up on Ann's original question, which is, if none of the towns, including Great Barrington, give you any money, what are we going to be left with?
I think you're going to be left with the need.
I'd have to go back and look at everything we're doing and do our best, because what'll happen is if we do not receive that, most likely we'll have to go down to one ambulance, which means we will no longer do transports out of Fairview, which means that we'll lose another $600,000 in revenue.
So Bill, I'm
That's
sorry,
worst case scenario.
you're going down to one ambulance from 2 or from 3?
Well, we're currently staffing 3, but that's with my office staff staffing the 3rd truck during the weekdays. But we've got 2 trucks on duty 24/7, 365 as it stands now.
And the GB Fire has one as an ambulance as well that it runs as backup.
No.
No.
They do have one firefighter on duty from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., which the chief has graciously allowed me to use on occasions when the system becomes overwhelmed.
So, I mean, I guess in circling back to Ann's question and to Bill's question, I guess the money that all the towns, you received money from all the towns last year. Every town approved money.
Yes, it was a total of about between 92 and 97,000.
And where is that
altogether
in the actuals from 2020?
It's in the budget. We have not received only, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 at the close of FY 2020. So we're still counting the rest of it to be received into our fiscal year 21.
Steve, I think Sue is trying to.
Yeah, I was waiting to you guys.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Sue, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to circle back, Bill, on the number of ambulance you have.
Yes.
Can you clarify that for me again?
I have 4 ambulances.
That's what I thought. Okay.
But
And you have 1 medic. Is that correct?
1 medic truck, correct.
Okay, so you have 4 ambulances, not 3.
Correct. I have 4 ambulances.
Okay.
Sue, have we, as a town, been in receipt of a invoice, or have we paid the 40,000?
No, we have not.
Okay.
We haven't even gotten the bill?
No, we have not.
We're not familiar with your what you needed to be or to receive for payment. So you'll get that right away. We were not ever told that we need to submit an invoice.
Lee, go ahead.
I just feel really uncomfortable putting any money at this point towards this without, further investigation into some of this information that's come forward. So I don't know how the rest of the board or committee is feeling, but I don't have a lack of confidence in what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. So.
Well, it really becomes interesting. If I was running a company at a deficit and I knew a town owed me $40,000, I might pick up the phone and ask them how I get that money. So that really worries me that this is the way the operation's being run. It's up to you. Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
Well, just listening to this, it seems like you have no control or no idea what your finances are.
And how can, as a town, how can we even give anything at this point if they're not even billing us from last year? So
just want to, there was a question as to what would have to happen if, in fact, we were down to one ambulance and one crew. The calls are not, the requests for service are not going to go away. It would mean that every town would have to stand up an ambulance service. And that's pretty expensive. I think you do have an idea of how much that might be from a study that was done 2 years ago. So that's the reality. We're certainly open to what you would like us to do further to move this to a point where we don't have to cut back services. Certainly, funding is an issue that won't go away. That's, you may say what you want about the way you perceive the way the ambulance service is being run, but the fact is that it's going to cost a lot of money to continue to provide EMS services for South County.
So,
Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we'd be better off spending this $40,000 on a feasibility study and have our town manager look into what we should be doing. You know, do we talk to another ambulance squad? Do we, you know, have our own ambulance squad? Is it regionalization? I'd feel more comfortable putting the $40,000 to a study than just throwing good money after bad money. So I would ask for the town manager to begin immediately on a plan of what to do next.
I think we have a couple choices here, Lee. I think your point's well taken. We can either turn down this request now, if that's or approve it, or we can table this and ask the town manager to work with the town, with Sue. I can never remember her long title, fiscal director, fiscal coordinator, and to come back to us with some recommendations, and also looking further at what's been sent to us, since much of it doesn't make sense to us. Some of it, I'm not an accountant, so I take full responsibility, but other parts of it just doesn't make sense to me. And the long-term debt that the town would owe, if, you know, the ambulance squad ran a deficit or a shortfall, whatever you want to call it, all the same to me, I'm not an accountant, of $350,000 next year or 400, what would that do to the town? You know, where's our breaking point, and where should we go?
Can I add to that, Stephen said, if you could add pulling the fire chief into that also.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Look at options.
Yeah, and Fairview and other ambulance squads.
And if we could do this in time to still act this year.
And Michelle, you wanted to jump in, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just looking, other towns are involved. So the town, I see Lee's point about a feasibility study, but why isn't it more a collaboration with the other towns, where the other towns contribute to the feasibility study? I mean, I'm just perplexed and what's going on here, and the safety valve here is saying, well, the reality is we have to close up shop. The reality is that when I looked at the financials from last year, it was poor fiscal management over several years. That's what the reality is. This is, and I understand with the Medicare and the federal government, but generally you do projections, you know what's coming down the road here. I see the feasibility study, and I think it's a good idea, but I don't know why Great Barrington has to take the weight on altogether. Why aren't we involving the other towns? I can't remember who brought it up, that someone suggested that the towns meet and discuss this, and perhaps together have conduct a feasibility study or contract for a feasibility study.
So Michelle, I think your point's well taken, and Lee and Kate.
Yeah.
I think there's two parts here. One is short-term, which is what Ed was bringing up, and one is long-term. feasibility study is not going to happen between now and
Right.
the public hearing. So, so go ahead, Lee, then Kate.
Yeah, I mean, that exactly. So it's a short-term and long-term vision. So, I would like to have Mark and Sue immediately, look at our short-term options. So, what would it look like with the fire department stepping in, or, increased partnership with Fairview, or just to begin the conversations possibly with another ambulance squad. So just to see what our options are. And then in the long term, maybe pursue a feasibility study that's jointly paid for by other towns. But I do feel like this is an immediate issue that we need to start acting on.
Kate?
I guess two things. First, I think of the quick action that the town took in terms of senior transportation, and how quickly they rallied a response and made things work. And now we have a very highly functioning Southern Berkshire transportation service. And I have full confidence that even though it will probably be very difficult if we are in a place of having to scramble, that we will be able to do it and collaborate with others. I'm wondering if it's time for us to make a motion, if we feel like we're there yet.
Maybe
and I'd be welcome to. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah,
Or Bill, you can.
Yeah, well, it may be that a private ambulance company is just no longer a viable concept.
It's possible. Do I have a motion? I'll start with the select board. That's who I have.
I have no idea. Go ahead, Kate.
I can make a motion.
Yeah,
Okay, Lee will make a motion.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that the select board does not recommend any funding of the Southern Berkshire ambulance services this year.
I'll second that. I think the only thing, maybe we have to make an amendment, but that we advise our town manager to begin discussions with other towns, services, all the things that we discussed. I don't know. Do I need to make that as an amendment, or?
Lee, are you willing just to add that to your motion?
Yeah, I think that's part of that, but yes.
Okay, so I have a motion, and Kate, you seconded that?
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie Berger asked to speak, so Charlie, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I think there's a lot to discuss here and a lot to discuss going forward. The town of Great Barrington definitely does have, long-term options, but starting up an ambulance, particularly a medic ambulance, is you can't even get your license for 2 years after running from the basic level from the state. So there's no way that the town of Great Barrington can put in a medic unit tomorrow legally. So we're applying for our basic license with the idea of us assisting Southern Berkshire at this time. But so I'm more than happy to talk to you about the options for Great Barrington and lots of other things, but there is no way that we can start up an ambulance at the medic level at the speed that elderly transportation is stood up at, which the town did a fantastic job at, but that's just not a possibility here. So I would like you to take that into consideration with your vote.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks.
So Lee, what, and I say it to Lee, but I say it to all the board members. I guess in my mind, I don't want to close the door on funding for this year. I don't want to approve any tonight either. What I would prefer, it's just me, one vote, and I may support Lee's motion if everyone else does, but what I prefer is that we table any funding and we ask the town manager to look at short-term and long-term solutions, because the ultimate reality is that we may have to help them this year while we come up with a long-term solution so that we don't leave people stranded. But I think in the long run, we have a lot of work to do to straighten this out. And I just don't want to close the door completely on funding this early.
I agree with Steve. It's I think premature to say no. I would ask our town staff to come to us with a recommendation, looking at what you were all suggesting, but to come to us with a recommendation in time to do something for town meeting, whether it's put it on the hearing or say no.
Yeah, I'm inclined to that same approach.
So I would vote no on this motion.
Yeah.
Steve, could I just jump in and weigh in on that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, I just want to support what you suggested because that's what was on my mind as well. I still feel like we still don't know enough to know what would be the consequences if we just did not provide any support to SBAS at this point. And I guess I would like to know, if the request was for 111,000+. I'm assuming that would be level service. If we gave 40,000 as we did this past year, what would that mean for service? And if we gave nothing, what would happen? Because I feel like we're sort of imagining, it went from 4 ambulances to 1 because of a difference of 111,000. I just don't understand that. So I really would want to know, what would we be looking at?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Lee, do you want us to vote on your motion or do you want to reframe it?
Okay, I just want some clarification. What's the timeline in terms of tabling it and having this answer?
I would give Mark more than a few days. I would probably say that we could meet prior to the public hearing, either days prior or hours prior to the public hearing. So maybe give a timeline by the public hearing for Mark to be able to come back to us. And he's not going to have all the answers. He's not going to have, it's a large ask, but at least to start the discussion. That's a month away. No, it's less than a month away. It's 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I guess my question is, Mark, and Mark and Sue, does that, and Charlie, does this all seem that is doable, or are we asking for something that's not really doable and we're just postponing something for no reason?
I don't want to speak for Sue and Charlie, but I'd be happy to meet with them, come up with some recommendations for your public hearing on the 30th.
Mm-hmm. The other reason why I'm hesitant is if, let's say, we go with the town manager's recommendation of 40,000, I just don't see what that's going to do. I feel like we're just kind of, possibly maybe just giving the money in just to say that we did something. And I don't know if that's a really good reason to do that. So that there's questions, but I'll be happy to take my motion back and amend it to say a new motion. If that, so I'd like to make a motion that the select board table the special articles for the Southern Berkshire Ambulance Squad to a date to be determined before the public hearing.
And have the town manager come back to us with.
And have the town manager come back with recommendations, both long-term and short-term.
Perfect. Kate, will you accept that?
Yeah, I take my old second back, and I think Bill seconded this one.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. Ann, it's all yours.
Yep. Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
Hey, Ann, this is Tom. I make a motion. We recommend the article as amended by the Select Board.
Which is to table the article?
Correct.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say something. This is a complex issue. And our public hearing is March 30th, and town staff, with everything else they're doing, they're going to be able to submit to us a recommendation. I'm not seeing how that's going to work.
let's ask Mark, because he has his hand up, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to know how this is going to be done.
I guess what I was committing to a few minutes ago was to have at least initiate a conversation with Chief Berger and with Sue Carmel and come back to you all on the 30th with some form of recommendation. I think coming up with both short and long-term options will be a challenge for sure, but we can make some recommendation of some kind.
And I hear what you're saying, and this is not a criticism of town staff. I don't think there's enough time to do that. And nothing, it wouldn't, even if you will make your best efforts, I feel it's terribly rushed. And I don't have confidence in the timeline.
So can I comment on that?
Certainly.
Yes.
And Ann, two things. First of all, what Mark comes back with and staff is not going to be a 30-page white paper that we're going to have all the answers. I understand that. None of us expect that. I do think the alternative, which is either to vote this down or to vote a number in, as Lee said, that I don't know what the number is going to do, 40,000 or 60,000, it isn't going to do any good either. So I think this is the best out of any alternative that we have. I think it's a good motion, and I have faith that what Mark comes back with will be the beginning of a discussion that this time will go on for the year, whether people return our calls, whether people return our emails or not, that we're not going to be in the same position next year at this time. Mark, and it's yours, but Mark has his hand up.
So I can go first. I guess, and there was a discussion about having a meeting with the other towns that are also being asked to fund. And I'm wondering, can that happen between now and the hearing or not? And I think this was with Sbas too, correct?
Yeah, that was, yes. We were suggesting that might be an option.
Mark, do you have any comments to that? It seems like a heavy ask in 3 weeks, but anything.
No, I know.
I guess my question would be, are you looking for staff to meet with our colleagues in other towns, or are you looking for a board conversation with other communities?
Are you asking me or are you asking Sbas?
I'm just asking.
Whoever will answer the question.
Yeah, yeah. Dennis, when you were saying that you were recommending a meeting with the other towns, who was coming from the other towns?
Both, actually. When we talked, there is an organization that has looked at regionalization, and it got nowhere because the towns would not want to relinquish any of the services or influence they had. And that's a major issue, as you probably might guess. We did recommend or broached the issue this morning with Egremont, and we think that it's probably something that would move this process along to some point fairly quickly. At least you'd know where everybody stood with regard to the things that might have to come together to continue to provide EMS service for all the towns that we do now.
I think my answer to that, and then Lee, I saw your hand go up. My answer to that is in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, just getting all the select boards together will be a monumental ask. And even if they all got together, it's the decisions that we make will very likely not affect this year's budget whatsoever. It's more of a long-term. Lee, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, I'm just having a real issue, the fact that we haven't even gotten billed yet for last year's money that we gave. And what I would ask Mark and the ambulance squad to provide with us when they come back, or when Mark comes back, is, where any money that we give to the ambulance squad goes, because I just don't want it to get lost in a budget and sit there for 6 or 7 months in some line item that no one, that there's no accountability. I feel that money is just being, poured into this organization and no one knows where it's going. So, I really want to know if, Mark comes to us and says, well, I'd recommend the $40,000, which he has already. Where is that money going to go? Is it just going to go in this black hole just to kind of swim around and take money out of taxpayers' pockets just for us to say, oh, well, we did something? Because I don't think that's good enough. So I will want to know exactly, if you recommend anything, where is it going to go and how is that going to be held? They're going to be held accountable to spend that money wisely.
Mark, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to raise my hand just so that I could clear the air on the recommendation. To answer you, Lee, the $40,000 was not a recommendation from me. It was simply a placeholder because at the time when we developed this budget, we just used last year's number because we didn't have a request at that time. I'm not suggesting that we fund at 40,000 versus 112 or any other number. It was just a placeholder.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
Okay, so Andy.
So I think there is a motion at the Finance Committee to table this item to come back around with some recommendations from the town, as much as those could be.
Yes.
And I think that has been seconded.
Yeah, I seconded it. Yeah.
Yep. So how about we'll do a vote? Tom?
Aye.
Michelle? Michelle? Oh.
No.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye as well.
Okay, we're going to move ahead. School consolidation feasibility study. Let me just give you an update on this. The Regional School District Planning Board was informed that they received the maximum grant that they had applied for, which is $125,000. They are formulating, excuse me for the late hour, they are either having a meeting tomorrow maybe to decide of any request that's going to come to us. Clearly, probably is not going to be the 15,000. So I would ask that we, if we're still in support of this, I would ask that we just table this, pass over it. I don't even need a formal table until the night of the public hearing to give them a chance to come back at us with their new request.
Steve, can I just say really quickly, when they had, I don't know if you or Ed are part of that board, but I know when they first came to us, their ask was much lower than what they actually had as items. Like they everything was like on a really low end.
Yes.
And I think because they got all of that budget, or they got all that grant, I'd like for them to, to be encouraged to be realistic about the money that they need, because I think this is a really important discussion for all of our towns to be having. So I don't know if you're there or Ed's there, but if you could pass that on, and I'll do my best to reach out, but.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm on the board. I'm on the Regional School District Planning Board. So if we want to make it formalized and just ask to table this, that's fine.
Or a motion or? I don't think we need it.
Along at 9:30 at night, yes.
But move to table.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to table.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
3 more to go. Berkshire Hills Regional School District vocational tuition and transportation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye. Unanimous.
Finance Committee, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Next to our stabilization, this is the use of free cash for the town's stabilization fund. The town manager's recommendation, the proposed amount is $200,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
Motion to approve.
And do I have a second? Further discussion?